Hello, this is my country comparison presentation on Norway. The country overview, so it has a population of 5,597,924. Population distribution. Most Norwegians live in the south where the climate is milder and there is better connectivity to mainland Europe. Population clusters are found all along North Sea coast in the southwest and Skagerrak in the southeast. The interior areas of the north remain sparsely populated. Ethnic groups are Norwegian, which is 81.5%, other European, 8.9%, and 9.6% is other. Language, Bokmål Norwegian, Nynorsk Norwegian, small Sami, and Finnish-speaking minorities. Geography, it's glaciated, mostly high plateaus and rugged mountains broken by fertile valleys. Small scattered plains, coastline deeply indented by fjords, Arctic tundra in the north, about 2/3 mountains, some 50,000 islands off its much indented coastline, strategic location adjacent to sea lanes and air routes in North Atlantic, one of the most rugged and longest coastline in the world. Economic overview. Gross domestic product of $355.122 billion. High income, European economy, Asian labor force, lower state-owned energy company, constrains budget and spending, largest oil sovereign wealth fund, major fishing, forestry, and extraction industry, and a large welfare system. Political, parliamentary, constitutional monarchy. Religions, you have the Church of Norway, 67.5%, Muslim 3.1%, Roman Catholic 3.1%, other Christian 3.8%, and then other 2.6%, unspecified 19.9%. The Hofstede's cultural dimensions. So this will include the power distance in individualism, masculinity, uncertainty avoidance, long-term orientation, and indulgence. Okay, so in comparison with the U.S., the power distance for Norway is 31 and the U.S. is 40. Individualism, Norway is 69 and the U.S. is 91. Masculinity, Norway is 8, U.S. 62. Uncertainty, avoidance, Norway is 50 and the U.S. is 46. Long-term orientation, 35 for Norway, 26 for the U.S. And indulgence, 55 for Norway and 68 for the U.S. World religions. Christianity makes up most of the religion, which is 84.7%. Then you have other religions also like Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, indigenous, and Judaism. Traditional versus secular rational values, which is 1 and 1. Survival versus self-expression values is 2 and 0. Important in life religion. So 11.2% of Norway believe that religion is very important in life compared to 37.1% of the U.S. 19.1% of Norway believe that religion is not important at all, and 19.5% of the U.S. thought the same. Analysis. More U.S. citizens believe religion is important in life than Norway. World Values Survey Children Qualities. So this includes independence, hard work, feelings of responsibility, imagination, tolerance and respect for other people, thrift, saving money and things, determination, perseverance, religious faith, unselfishness, and obedience. So starting with independence. So the findings revealed that 11.2% of Norway believe that independence is very important compared to the U.S., which is 37.1%. 19.1% of Norway believed that independence was not important at all compared to 16.5% of the U.S. Analysis. The United States value independence more than Norway. Hard work. 18.9% of Norway believed that hard work was an important child quality, while 67.9% of the U.S. believed that it was important. 81% of Norway and 32% of the U.S. did not mention it. Analysis. The U.S. values hard work more than Norway. Feelings of responsibility. 82.8% of Norway believed that feelings of responsibility was important, and 59.3% of the U.S. believed that it was important also. Analysis. Norway values responsibility more than the U.S. Imagination. 42.9% of Norway believed that imagination was an important child quality in comparison to 29.8% of the U.S. 57% of Norway and 70% of the U.S. did not mention it at all. Analysis. Norway values imagination more than the U.S. Tolerance and respect for other people. 90.1% of Norway believed that tolerance and respect for other people was important in comparison to 70.8% of the U.S. Analysis. Norway values tolerance and respect more than the U.S. Thrift saving, money, and things. 11.5% of Norway believed that thrift saving, money, and things were important compared to 27.2% in the U.S. Analysis. The U.S. values thrift saving and money and things more than the U.S. More than Norway. Determination, perseverance. 26.9% of Norway believed that determination and perseverance was important in comparison to 38.6% in the U.S. Analysis. The U.S. values determination and perseverance more than Norway. Unselfishness. 21.1% of Norway believed that unselfishness was important compared to 28.3% in the U.S. 78.8% of Norway and 71.6% of the U.S. did not mention it. Analysis. Norway and the U.S. have similar beliefs that unselfishness is important, and majority of Norway and U.S. did not mention it. 16.6% for obedience. 16.6% of Norway believed that obedience was an important child quality in comparison to 20.5% of the U.S. 83.3% of Norway and 79.3% of the U.S. did not mention it. Analysis. U.S. has a greater belief that obedience is important. Measures of wealth, social progress, and gender equality. Okay, so this section will include the Human Development Index, Social Progress Imperative, Gender Inequality Index. So the Human Development Index for Norway. The HDI is a summary measure of assessing long-term progress in 3 basic dimensions of human development: long and healthy life, access to knowledge, and decent standard of living. So the HDI for Norway was 0.961, which is very high, and Norway ranks number 2. In comparing Norway to the U.S. on the Human Development Index, Norway has a GDI of 0.990, a HDI of 0.940 for females, 0.959 for males, and an estimated gross income per capita at $58,548 for females, $74,280 for males. On the other hand, the U.S. has a GDI of 0.994, an HDI of 0.922 for females, 0.922 for males, an estimated gross income per capita $50,590 for females, $77,338 for males, and Norway had a ranking of 1 and the U.S. has a ranking of 17. Analysis. Women in Norway earn more money than women in the U.S. Men in Norway earn less money than men in the U.S. Norway has a greater human development than the U.S. and a lesser gender development than the U.S. Gender Inequality Index score. Norway ranks number 6 in the Gender Inequality Index score, and the U.S. ranked 46. Analysis. Norway has a lower inequality between women and men than the U.S. social progress imperative. So Norway ranks number 1 with a score of 90.74. US ranked 25 with a score of 84.65. Analysis. Norway values basic human needs, well-being, and opportunities more than the US. Overall, the HDI shows that Norway values basic dimensions of human development and gender inequality. Index shows that Norway ranks 6 and Norway ranks number 1 in social progress. Analysis of this data shows that Norway treats each other with respect and equality, and there is little regard for social class. Norway believes in meeting the basic needs of others and making sure that everyone has a chance to be successful. The number of males and females employed is close in number, but the males make more money than the females. PISA student performance. So the PISA shows that girls score higher than boys in reading, math, and science, and all students score higher than average scores. In reading, Norway scores were 499. The average is 487 in other countries. Girls scored 40 points more than boys. In math, Norway scored 501. The average is 489 in other countries, and the girls scored 7 points more than boys. In science, Norway scored 490. The average in other countries, 489, and the girls scored 11 points more than boys. 8% in reading is due to socioeconomic status. The average in other countries is 12%. The difference between advantaged and disadvantaged students in reading is 73 points, and the average in other countries is 89. 12% of those students are academically resilient. The average in other countries is 11%. So the purpose of schooling, the role of culture in schooling is to maintain uniformity in society through shared values, language, and beliefs. Most important findings was that students perform higher than average scores in reading, math, and science. And the girls outperform the boys in those subjects also. Also, Norway ranked number 1 in the HDI, and the women gross income per capita is more than women in the United States. Some cultural values are that they have high feelings about children's responsibility, tolerance, and respect for other people, and children's imagination. They also value individualism and independence. The country is a feminine society, shows sympathy for others, and non-competitive. They believe in interacting and communicating with others, and is not centered around control. Although they are mainly Christianity, they do not seem very strict on religion, because the data shows that shows more for religion not being very important. And based on the purpose of schooling in Norway would seem to be to provide a student-centered environment that allows students to problem solve and explore, to learn social emotional skills in order to be productive members in society, to learn practical skills to prepare students for the real world. I think their school would be more of a consistent curriculum instead of exceptional one, because they are not competitive and they seem to want to work together, and they want everyone to succeed. And from the importance of the data, also hard work and perseverance was not one of their top priorities. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.